So Benjamin comments on the video and asking if I could expand on what kind of buff gravity training is getting. So today I'm going to try and go over some of the Korean patch notes from the recent balance patch that they got that we have yet to get in the West, to try and give a little bit of an explanation exactly as to what is happening to Destroyer. But there's a few things I want to say to preface this. Number one, this original patch notes is in Korean. I have it translated to English through Google, so if there are any words that don't make sense, or if I am struggling to understand something, it is probably something just mistranslated. With that being said, this is also only live on the Korean servers. I cannot test this myself. I don't have a Korean account. If you want new skill builds, tripods, or anything related to builds or anything like that, one person I can recommend is Memorizer92. He may be a little inappropriate or weird for some people, but there's one thing that's sure, and that's that he does have pretty good Destroyer content. He has a whole video on gravity training, going through the new skill builds that he recommends, tripods, and all that type of stuff. So check him out if you want to go more in depth. But for now, I'm just going to try and do a basic explanation of what exactly is changing. So one of the first things that's noted is that the skill one-man army is being changed out for a new skill called Earthwave. The skill looks pretty sick if you haven't seen it already, so that's going to be having its own tripods and new stuff as well. For Perfect Swing, some of the animations and visuals have been changed, so how the skill visually looks, the sound effects are being changed, so that's pretty sick. They're also changing some of the tripods. I don't know if I just said it or not, but a lot of the purple skills are getting this additional tripod where you acquire additional gravity gauge per core possessed, or for how many cores you have when the skill is casted. A lot of the purple skills are getting that, so they're getting rid of like a less important, less popular tripod, or tripods that aren't really used. They're also changing hour of slaughter or time of slaughter, so it no longer sends that wave forward. It's just a quick swing, which should be nicer to use. For seismic hammer, they're getting rid of one of the tripods that is existing right now, and they're adding a damage tripod, which is really huge. Apparently this used to be in there, but they had taken it out. Now they're putting it back in or something like that. But right now, a lot of people use quick prep because the only other options are tenacity, or you take less damage while casting the skill. And now they're basically adding a 40% damage buff because at tripod level 5, this is going to do 40% more damage. So this is easily going to be our new strongest skill in gravity training, aside from obviously gravity mode. They're also changing one of the Law of the Jungle tripods on seismic hammer, or the Law of the Jungle tripod, to an additional gravity gauge per core tripod. Same thing with Earth Eater. They're getting rid of one of the tripods. Neutralizer, full swing, same thing. Gravity compression, I don't even think anyone uses this, gravity training or rage hammer, but it looks like they're just changing some of the animations and then adjusting the wording in the tripods to then, to align with the new animations. Now for the awakening, they did change the wording, but I think they only changed the wording on things that they changed the animations for. So I believe they said that they understood that it's like a very long animation, so they did this to make it a bit faster. I don't know how much faster it is. I still think if you need it in a crunch, you're still going to want to use your pet menu to cancel out the animation, but I do think it's faster overall. But otherwise, it still performs the same. It's going to do the same amount of damage, and it's going to give you the same amount of gravity gauge. Now, going into the identity stuff, the amount of gravity gauge acquired according to the number of gravity cores acquired when using the liberation skills in PvE has been changed. Now, I'm not sure if liberation skills are the blue skills, because on ours, they're called concentration skills. So I think that would make sense because gravity, or the purple skills are called gravity release, and I think that would make more sense. But it says the amount of gravity gauge acquired according to the number of gravity cores acquired. So I guess based on how many cores the skill itself gives will also adjust how much gravity gauge you get. So they're buffing that a little bit, it seems like. So if the skill gives 1 core, it'll do 2% more instead of 1.5. If it gives 2 cores, it'll be 4% instead of 3%. And if it gives 3 cores, it'll be 8% more instead of 6%. I believe that's what it is. That would make sense based on what this says here. This is a really big one. They added our synergy to gravity mode. If you don't get what this means, we have added the armor destruction effect to the general attack in gravity weighted area and modified the amount of damage. So basically, if you don't know, every class has a synergy. For Destroyer, it's defense reduction 12%. It's often found on jumping smash. This one right here, on hit foe defense minus 12% for 14 seconds. As it is right now in the West, with my build, if I want to have my synergy up while I am in hypergravity mode, I need to land this ability and then enter the gravity state. With this change, what this is going to do is this is going to allow our gravity state while we're bop, 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 bop. Every single individual one of those hits is going to apply the synergy. which is not only good for us, it's also good for our teammates because that means our uptime is going to be more consistent on the synergy. I know a lot of people with gravity training, you kind of have a rhythm, right? You'll go a 1 core, then a 2 core, then a 1 core again, the other 2 core ability, and you want to rotate through. You don't just want to spam one ability to apply the synergy if you already have the cores, right? You don't want to waste potential cores that you can gain just for a synergy. So this will make that a bit easier. Once you're in gravity mode, you're still applying your synergy, which is good for you and your team. And now one of the other things that they changed is when using the liberation skill. So I'm still going to just stick with the fact that this is like the blue skills. Gain an additional 20, 45, and 70% of gravity gauge. The gravity mode critical hit rate stays the same, 10, 20, 30. Damage to enemy stays the same, 4, 10, and 20. But one of the other things that changes is we're going to be having a new kind of, I guess a passive. It's called gravity shock. So every 3 auto attacks that you land when you're in gravity mode, it's going to apply like a lightning bolt that drops down and it'll do extra damage. But if you don't know, or if you haven't caught on, basically the main thing that's being changed is that we're just going to have much faster gauge generation. New tripods that increase how much gauge we get per core. We have some of the new changes to the blue skills, I believe, with the how much gauge these give. And then same thing with the engraving. When using the skills, gain additional gravity gauge. So we're going to be generating our gauge much faster. We're going to be able to go into our gravity mode much more consistently, which means we'll be able to do more damage, which is also nice because we won't have to be as picky when it comes to when we use it, right? A lot of us use Master Brawler, and at the time, let's say you have your gravity gauge, you don't want to use it because you know it's going to take you a second to get back, and you know the boss is going to be like staggered soon, or you know the boss is going to be countered soon, and it's going to give you a nice damage window. Now we're going to be generating it so much more faster. We're going to be a bit more like, okay, willy-nilly, I'll just use it, right? Because we're going to be able to generate it back at a much quicker pace, which is going to be a really nice buff for us. It's going to feel much better. So it's going to be more of a, you're going to feel that quality of life type thing, not having to, you know, hold your meter to make sure you get it in a good damage window, as well as seismic hammer is getting a 40% damage buff basically at level 5 tripod, which is fat. So TLDR, more gravity gauge generated, which means we're going to be getting a hyper gravity mode faster. Synergy onto our auto attacks when we're in hyper gravity. Gravity shock lightning bolt that hits every 3rd auto attack in hyper gravity, and seismic hammer getting a 40% damage buff. I believe those are some of the main things as far as what exactly is getting buffed. But I hope I was able to do it justice. If you have any further questions, comment down below. I'll do my best to try and answer them. I was trying to refrain from making this video because I didn't feel like I was a complete expert in the field. I try not to make videos if I feel like I'm not entirely sure on, but Benjamin asked a question, so I'm gonna try and deliver. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you know something that I don't, by the way, feel free to put it in the comments so other people can know as well. And with questions, you can go in the comments or ask on my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/iGod. The link will be in the description. Anyways, hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Peace.